The views and opinions expressed on this station do not reflect the owners, management, staff, clients, or partners.
It's Wednesday, the 3rd day of February, 2021. Welcome to the Daily Hour, brought to you by Medical House, One Communications, and Lindo's. I'm Jamal Hartman, along with Carlos Zul. Thanks for making us part of your daily routine. If you're watching online, share the link. If you're on Facebook, start a watch party. If you're on Twitter, retweet it. Just get the conversation out there to your network. And don't forget to like and engage with us. Another good one this morning, as former minister of many ministries and community educator, respected elder, and just an awesome human being, the Honorable Dean Neletha Butterfield, M.B.E. JP, is stopping by for a conversation. The Daily Play is a say it, don't sing it.
Definitely no promises today. Definitely.
Carla will be guessing the lyrics to a song if you haven't figured that out already. So these Wednesdays are always interesting, always makes for a good conversation. A lot to discuss. Carla, it's been some week, hasn't it? I think yesterday's show was just, we discussed a lot. We had Amy Harvey from the Bermuda College on. We also discussed the prayer, the social justice Bermuda, regarding the worship in schools. But what we haven't discussed was a story that broke on Friday, Carla, which I tweeted was probably one of the strangest stories I've ever read in Bermuda news. And I'm not sure, did you report on it on Monday?
No, I didn't actually.
Okay. All right, because sometimes during Carla's news break, I have to go and do some things, so I don't necessarily get to see it all or hear it all. But the story I'm talking about, folks, is the missing finger case, which was it's even still confusing. But the latest update, the Bermuda Police Service held a press conference and gave an update. Apparently, it looks like the missing finger belonged to a gentleman who was involved in an incident with another man. And the way it was first reported and spoken about on social media was like someone found a missing finger, called the police, and the police told them take it to the hospital, and the hospital disposed of it. That's the short version, correct, Carla?
Yep, pretty much.
Okay. So that right there, just like the jokes and just the memes and different things were like, so someone doesn't have a finger and they don't know where it is, or some people blaming the hospital for disposing of what could be crucial evidence. Some people saying, why would the police tell the person take the evidence? Shouldn't they tell the person stay there until they get on the scene? But it looks like, I believe it's Sean Field Lament, the acting assistant commissioner, said the man told them he lost the digit in a fight with another man last Monday night. This is according to the Royal Gazette. Mr. Field Lament admitted a breakdown in communication had caused a mix-up that led to the finger being incinerated by hospital staff. He said that officers at first believed they were dealing with a medical emergency when they got a call from a member of the public last Thursday who reported the find in a car park off Hamilton's Court Street. Mr. Lament Field added officers asked the member of the public who found the finger to get medical attention as soon as possible. The finder took the finger to the King Edward Memorial Hospital, where staff disposed of it. Mr. Lament Field went on to say it would appear that officers' initial response was to expedite the matter as dealing with a medical emergency. quote, while their intent was laudable, unfortunately, investigative opportunities were overlooked.
So
Carla,
many questions. Well, the first thing that stands out to me is, and I get it, mistakes were made, people panic. I don't know if you ever called 911, but I've had to call them once and I couldn't even remember my name. So I get it that people panic. But in light of the fact that there is a missing person in Bermuda, right? Because I think that's where a lot of the public panic and scrutiny has come from. The first thing I would have done was I would have logged it and I would not have told the people take it to the hospital because of evidence or whatever. But then from the victim side of it, this gentleman, I didn't know you could lose a body part and just leave it. And granted, it's a finger as opposed to a leg or arm, but I didn't know that you could still be okay if you lose a part of your body. So for him to be so nonchalant, like, lost it in a fight.
Well, it's so many things. You just said so much in that short time. There's so many things. Like, okay, losing a finger is not like losing a fingernail. You know what I'm saying? It's a is it?
I don't mean to laugh.
It sounds crazy. So you're telling me this person lost a finger, and as you stated, the way it's being reported so nonchalantly said, "Oh, it's mine. I just got in a little situation with my brethren." You know, like, does no one think this is one of the strangest stories ever?
And then he said, "Oh, I don't need police involvement." So that means they're probably somewhere having a drink or whatever, no, laughing about it. But don't you even need medical attention for a missing appendage because then all the whatever is hanging off? Or
Infection. Yeah. I mean, can't you get an infection from that? You know, I mean, so I found it strange because I'm like, okay, when it was reported there's a missing finger, I believe, I could be wrong, tell me if I'm wrong, I believe I read somewhere that no one had checked into the hospital at the time reporting a missing finger. Now, that may not have been the case, may have been overlooked, maybe he did, but I'm pretty sure someone would need to go to the hospital. All kinds of infections can happen from that stuff.
he's probably ill skill. Just put some vinegar on it, go swimming, something, you know. But then what blew my mind, and they interestingly, the hospital hasn't given a response at press time to the Royal Gazette's queries, but why did they incinerate it? If a step was missed from the police to the hospital, if someone comes with a missing finger, wouldn't the first thing you do is call the police?
Yeah. I mean, that's what I would think. I'm Carla, I'm not being funny. I'm confused by this entire process. I'm not putting the blame on the hospital. I'm not putting the blame on the police, and I'm not putting the blame on I mean, forefinger or three finger.
But
I'm
this
not
is the other thing.
I'm literally asking questions.
But the other part of me, seriously, is that some people walk around and call me naive, but I'm not about that life. People walk around with articles sharp enough to cut someone's finger off. That's a whole nother element of whatever for me too. It's like someone just, and it could have been defending himself, but someone had a blade sharp enough to do that.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, I know in some countries, if you steal, you lose a finger or two, right? Did this person steal and they got their finger chopped off and they don't want to go for it because what they stole would get them in serious trouble? I mean, there's so many things to this. Elizabeth, you are so she wrong. She says it probably happened after curfew. Well, that's another story. They're not too happy with Premier Bert and his extension of the curfew, huh? I didn't really get. I'll have to ask the audience about what's the latest with the press conference. Unfortunately, I was commuting yesterday and I did not get to get everything in. James Birch sounds like a whole string of miscommunication and more. This is a good question by Dijon. Mistake or cover up? What was it? Carrie Lamb says, can you get a fingerprint to identify it? Well, I think they've identified it, Carrie. They've identified the finger. Apparently, the nonchalant, as Carla explained, the nonchalant gentleman said he got a little scuffle or whatever you want to call it, and lost his finger, and neither party wants to move forward. Elizabeth says someone came in with 10 fingers holding a finger they found. They deaf shouldn't have been so quick to have incinerated. Well, at the end of the day, if anybody turns in a finger, wouldn't you want to talk to them? Look, I say this often. Carla and I are not the experts here. We're just here. You know, this is not even like a show where we report the news. We actually just discuss the news, right? We're here having a conversation with you all, really trying to figure things out because we're confused and we're hoping you can help us undo our confusion. And every time Carla says something, she's adding just something else that just confuses me even more.
It blew when I first saw the release because I still get most media releases. I was like, a finger?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, wow, like in a parking lot. So I don't know, Mal. It's just so many questions, but it just blows my mind that the victim is so chill. Like, nah, we don't need any police assistance. It's just a finger.
And Deb Ford says the individual did go to KEMH, but wasn't reported to police. Also, a video was circulating of the fight before the digit was found.
But they did go to police because they took a picture of the finger and they went to the police and they I don't know if they forwarded a picture, but they did go to police and they ended up at the house.
The victim, not the person who took the finger.
Okay.
Yeah. But I thought I did read somewhere saying the individual did go to the emergency. So they probably got stitched up and somebody just didn't put 2 and 2 together. One finger lost, one finger found. I'm being serious. Dijon Simmons says Magnum PI on the job. And let me just go back to Deb Ford. I'm glad that I'm not in their circles where I saw a video with someone losing a finger. That's crazy. Amanda Kelly says definitely more to the story. Maybe there was no need to attach the finger back. So where do we keep missing limbs? Well, incinerate them apparently. Charles H. Jeffers, Jamal was communicating during the commuting. Oh, Jamal was commuting during the press conference. Does that mean he was walking to his car? Well, you know what? I was actually going to take video for you all yesterday to show you that my walk to my car is not that long. But I said, no, you don't deserve it because you're just so rude. You're so rude. Dijon Simmons, strange how no one has come forward for their finger. No, he came forward. He came. In the latest report that I just read this morning, as Carla described, nonchalantly. Yeah, that's basically like, yeah, that's my finger. Yeah, I got a little skid off.
Don't want to run me in.
Yeah, don't want to. I mean, I don't know about you, but I like my teeth. I like my fingers, my toes, my arms, my legs. If somebody takes one of them, I'm pretty sure we're not grabbing a drink together the next day or so. So
they're probably brethren, seriously, and then maybe alcohol was involved because I'm even thinking, take the infection or potential, just the pain. Mm-hmm. Think about squashing your finger in a door, much less losing it. That had to hurt. So they was probably tapped, like numbed up. Because
I got my finger stuck in the Clorox that white thing the other day. You know how that little sharp thing, and that hurt me. You know what I'm saying? So losing the damn thing. I mean, goodness, man, that must have hurt. But yeah, that was probably, and I think I speak for many, one of the strangest stories I've read in recent times in Bermuda news. We have a lot going on in Bermuda right now. We obviously have the budget coming up later this month. We have right now, as we speak, and you can check it out online, we have the same-sex well, actually, I want to address that real quickly. We were supposed to have someone on from the LGBT community yesterday to discuss, but the way this show operates, we can't wait on people because there are a lot of people that are trying to get on and have conversations with us. But I want to say this, and it may offend some people, but what's new with me, right? I don't get the whole term marriage equality. I totally understand, and I support their right to fight for what they believe is right. But it's same-sex marriage. Marriage equality would mean everyone having the ability to marry as they please. That's the one thing that confuses me about it. Everyone doesn't have the right to marry as they please. And, I've seen some videos of people shutting down same-sex marriage this way and that way. And I'm just like, yeah, that would have worked probably 25, 30 years ago, but it's just not there. Well, we're not in that same space. But I just think to there's so many different causes. I mean, I fought a couple myself. But one of the things I was told about causes is the language you use is so important to convincing people that your cause is there for them to support. And I just think stop being misleading with some of the language. That's my only thing on that.
Jamal. Oh, actually, something just popped through from police. I'll add it to the report.
Oh, did it have anything to do with a missing limb?
It's missing, but not a limb.
Okay, all right. Well, let's go to the news break. We have Lindsay Kipps Gibbons. Is it just fingers the public has to deal with themselves? What about arms and legs? Well, yeah, I mean, no, if someone lost an arm and a leg, I'm sure. Well, I've been cracking a joke there.
But before we do news, I just want to say real quick is that the one thing though, because Mr. Field Lamont Field, my apologies. He did say that there were lessons in this whole exercise. And I guess the silver lining is that thankfully this happened with a minor incident. So that should something happen with something major, they know where to do better. So I think we have to look at that perspective as well.
Understood. James Burt says same-sex couples want the equal right to marriage to marriage that same-sex couples want the equal right to marriage that opposite-sex couples have. Well, duh. Who said anything differently? What I'm saying is that doesn't not reflect marriage equality. It doesn't. I mean, they want same-sex marriage. You're saying it's equality because it'll be what other people have. Marriage equality would mean, and I'm going to say adults so that people don't get crazy, that all adults, regardless, would have the ability to marry who they please. That's not what this law is. This is same-sex couples. This does not define every and anyone. So the term marriage equality loses me. I'm okay with same-sex marriage. If that's what people want to do, so be it. But say that. But it's not marriage equality. And you all can write, yeah, me hate males, say this and that. You're not got a foe in me. But the term, I'm just not with the term. It is same-sex marriage and all the best in court. I've been a part of a course that went all the way to the Privy Council. And unfortunately, our cause wasn't popular, so we lost. You all have a popular cause, pop culture right now. So I'm pretty sure that the results will be in your favor. So yes, like I said, that case you can watch online if interested. Sean Smith says, I lost my ring finger and that hurt like hell. Could not imagine losing it. Wow. Ouch. Dr. Siemens in the house. Whoa, she was like a co-host yesterday. Different will never be the same. And I believe she's referring to marriage. Charles H. Jeffers, losing a finger is a minor incident. Well, apparently, Charles, we're not the reporters here. We're just...
But I called it minor because the gentleman, it was a fight. Like they found an answer to it. That's what I meant. I just meant if it was a random mystery as such.
Indeed. James Birch, are they defining just same sex? Yeah, that's the case. It's same-sex marriage.
That's the premise of the fight.
Yeah, and I'm not going to let you all take over the show and start getting in this. I'll just answer Lindsay Kipps Gibbons before this, but can you share an example? Yeah, it's been stated for years. If Carla is 49 or 59, whatever she is, if Carla's 59 and her son's 25 and they want to get married, then that would be marriage equality. They'd have the same rights as everyone else. Now, people could say that's nasty or that's incest or whatever, but at the end of the day, those same terms were used about people with the same sex. My point is, it's not marriage equality. Marriage equality would mean the right for all legal adults to marry as they please. Let's not do this morning. That's not what this show is about. But let's not do this. I have my opinion on it, and that's my opinion, that term does not reflect equality of marriage. Right now, the case before the courts is same-sex couples fighting for the right to marry. Okay? Thank you. Let me get out of here. Carla's got some news to do. We've got a great guest coming up. You don't want to miss this. One of the most admirable persons that, and before she comes on, I'm going to embarrass her a bit. I was privileged to go through her Care Learning Center. I mean, I was young. And for a person like me who is not the most academically inclined, to this day, I am grateful and thankful for her community efforts. So looking forward to having the conversation with, as we call her, Aunt Honey, but in your mouth is Dr. the Honorable Neletha Butterfield. We'll be back with her after caller gets to this news break with some minor stories.
Let's start with this just in. The Bermuda Police Service is seeking the public's assistance in locating 16-year-old Alan Winters Tate. He was last seen around 5:30 p.m. on Saturday when he left his Fenton's Drive, Pembroke residence to go to the marketplace in Pembroke. Alan is described as slim built, weighing approximately 160 pounds, 5'10" tall, brown complexion, and hair worn in a mohawk hairstyle. When last seen, he was wearing gray tracksuit pants, a black jacket, and white Converse sneakers. Anyone with information on the whereabouts of 16-year-old Alan Winters Tate is asked to call 295-0011. Meanwhile, police are also seeking the public's assistance in locating 2 suspects who were involved in a robbery at the Somerset branch of Game Time. Shortly before 6 p.m. yesterday, a female employee observed via CCTV 2 males approaching the main entrance to the business, which is located at the corner of Somerset Main Road and Hook and Ladder Lane. The employee unlocked the door as one of the males was attempting to enter. The other remained outside. However, as the first male entered the premises, he reportedly brandished what appeared to be a firearm and demanded cash. The employee opened the till, and the suspect is said to have removed the cash from it. The suspects then left the scene on foot, heading along Hook and Ladder Lane towards Long Lane. No one was injured during the incident. The Department of Workforce Development recently partnered with Connect Tech Coding, Bermuda's first technology training center, to provide job seekers with the opportunity to refresh and develop necessary IT skills to increase their employability. The digital literacy training program provided participants with upskilling and reskilling in the Microsoft Office suite of products. Before commencing the program, the average test scores were 38%. By the end of the 1-week program, scores had increased significantly with average test scores of 87%. Upon conclusion of the program, participants were presented with certificates of completion and had gained the skills desired by prospective employers. Amazon founder Jeff Bezos is to step down as chief executive of the e-commerce giant that he started in his garage 30 years ago. He will become executive chairman, a move he said would give him time and energy to focus on his other ventures. Mr. Bezos, who is the world's richest man, will be replaced by Andy Jassy, who currently leads Amazon's cloud computing business. The change will take place in the second half of this year, the company said. Being the CEO of Amazon is a deep responsibility, and it's consuming. When you have a responsibility like that, it's hard to put your attention on anything else. Mr. Bezos said this in a letter to Amazon staff yesterday. February 3rd is Carrot Cake Day. Carrot cake is a lovely creation that evolved out of the medieval favorite called carrot pudding. Through times in history when access to sugar was non-existent or very hard to come by, people have used sweet vegetables to make their desserts sweeter. This has been as recent as during World War II. To celebrate Carrot Cake Day, whether it's a slice or the whole cake, you can indulge without guilt. It's carrot cake after all. Turning to weather, the temperature in Bermuda is expected to reach a high of 68. Tampa, Florida will see a high of 60, and Porto, Portugal will see a high of 56. Don't forget to tune in to the full100radio.com tonight for Nighttime Jams, featuring some of your favorite romantic classics. That's your Daily Hour news break.
You said it's Carrot Cake Day?
Yep. I love carrot cake.
That's like the best. Boy, carrot cake without the cream cheese. Look,
no, the icing is what does it.
Paula, it's your daughter's birthday today?
Today is the 20th anniversary of my womb evacuation.
Oh,
Happy birthday, Sakile.
That sounded really personal. Happy birthday to Sakile. I have to apologize and give a shout also. On Monday, it was my business partner Keitha's birthday. So happy belated birthday to Keitha Keynes. And yesterday was my baby sister Jada's birthday. So big happy birthday to Jada. We're gonna take a quick break and we'll be back with the Honorable Dr. Neletha D. Butterfield. Oh, you folks, get ready. This is the guest for the ages. I can't wait. See you in a second.
Good day, Medical House Store speaking. Can I help you?
Medical House is Bermuda's leading one-stop shop for healthcare. Bermuda's top doctors, dentists, care homes, and the hospital choose Medical House for a wide range of products.
Anything that we ask them to do, they come through.
These same professional quality products are available to you for home healthcare.
If we can use them, we definitely do so.
Medical House is best known for its uniforms and footwear. It also has restaurant uniforms that stand up to even the toughest shifts. If you're on your feet all day, Medical House has comfortable and stylish shoes that are also durable and easy to clean. Everyone needs some help cleaning up, and Medical House has got it. Leading-edge janitorial, facility, and maintenance supplies are all here. Medical House is on Millreach Lane in Pembroke, where there's private parking right outside the door. Call or visit Medical House today.
This month, we're featuring a range of infant and baby care products from Hello Bello, a company started up by a husband and wife team who were inspired to meet the challenges arising from the often surprising, not to mention messy, experiences that came with the territory known as parenting. The couple behind Hello Bello know that being a parent is uniquely demanding, and their mission is to bring you premium products at gentle prices. Try Hello Bello Apple Blossom Baby Lotion, Lavender Shampoo and Body Wash, Flushable Wipes, Diaper Rash Cream, Lavender Bubble Bath, and more. Lindo's. Why go anyplace else?
All right, welcome back to the big show. Carl Azul, I'm Jamel Hartman. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by Medical House, One Communications, Lindo's, and our friends over at Channel 82, where you can also watch this and many other locally produced shows if you have One Communications cable. Without further ado, let's bring in our guest for the day, Dr. the Honorable Neletha Butterfield, M.B.E. JP. Welcome to the show. Can you hear us?
Oh, good morning. Yes, good morning. Good morning.
Hi.
I hope you're coming through okay.
Honestly,
Look at the smiles on my Care Bears, my two Care Bears. I'm very honored and I'm very humble. You see how much you're smiling? I bet you it's taking you back 30 years.
Yeah. Usually I'm the one to age others, but yes, it was a long time ago when I first walked through care when you had down next to West Pembroke, and we would go in the computer room mornings, Saturday mornings, and played an integral role in my life. So I am forever thankful for what you continue to do.
I'm thankful to your mother, to your parents for signing you up and sending you there. That doesn't happen today.
Really? I would think, it would happen more today. When you look at, we've had quite a few guests on this show speaking about the reading of some students, like the reading levels dropping in Bermuda. I know it was helpful for me as far as comprehension, but why do you think people aren't signing up like they used to?
Well, I think it's something to do with money. They have to pay to come to the courses. And so that's one of the problems that we were having. It would be helpful if we could get sponsorship for young people to come. But because it has happened that way, we have partnership with Target Learning Center. So there is something going on at Care Learning Center for after school program.
Good stuff. And Target Learning Center, I believe that's Keisha Allen Smith, correct?
Yes.
She educated us on that when she came on. But let's get to, before we go back into the education and so on, let's talk a bit about politics. You had quite a lengthy political career, first being appointed as a senator in 1993. What are some of your most memorable achievements as a politician and a minister?
Yeah, one thing I do like to say is one of my greatest achievements was opening up the Cisco Academy at the Bermuda College, and also the first environment report, the turtle, when we did the turtles coming into Bermuda, quite a few things, but try to remember. And once you retire, your mind gets relaxed. But that's one of the most memorable things is doing the first environment report, putting in the Cisco Academy at the Bermuda College. That was an exciting time.
And you definitely have. I mean, to go through your list of accomplishments, you've done quite a lot, and you were out quite a few ministries. So I can understand getting it down to one or two would be a challenge. Speak to us about your political career ending, because your name, despite you being out of politics, your name comes up a lot, rolls off people's tongues, and not necessarily always in good conversations. When it comes to the current Premier David Burt, your name, the Honorable former Premier Paula Cox, the Honorable former Opposition Leader Mark Bean, people love to say that David Burt, the current Premier, stabbed you all in the back. But your political career ended in 2012. What exactly happened, for those who don't know?
Okay, what it happened was that I think you called them. I can't remember what you called them. Primaries. And one thing is that the PLP never did primaries. So during a primary, David Burt ran against me. I always personally felt that if you want a seat within your party, then come and talk to the person. Come and have a conversation and say, I would like to run in your seat. Can you mentor me? If you recall, I was mentoring Michael Weeks, and Nelson Bascom passed away. Michael Weeks was in Canada. He was the one, when I was going to choose to retire, he was the one that was going to come in and take my spot. So I was mentoring him. But while he was in Canada, Nelson passed away. And of course, someone had to run in Nelson's seat. So I gave Mike a call and I said, listen, you got to get your name in as quickly as possible. And he got his name in, he was accepted. And then I showed him how to get individuals in the area, in Nelson's area, to sign them up so that when the voting comes, you will be successful. And of course, Michael Weeks had all the Deal families and all of them there at in that Pembroke area, and he won. So then I brought on someone else who was working with me and canvassing with me to train him. But unfortunately, that incident happened, and I have to be real because it was very disappointing and it was very, very painful. I don't know if some of you know how it feels when you lose a job, but it was a big adjustment, and I couldn't understand why. Someone did tell me that David Burt's coming after you, and I said, oh my gosh, why would he want to do that? Why doesn't he run in his own seat? The most disappointing thing is that Pembroke West Central was in the hands of the UBP for 30 years. And I canvassed that area in 1993. And then that's when the late Frederick Ray put me in the Senate. That's how I got in the Senate, because I did very well in Pembroke West Central. And he said to me, next time you may win, but it's a difficult seat. So I told the late Frederick Ray, I'm only running twice, because I'm not running like Dame Jennifer Smith did in St. George's after 5-6 times. But on the second run in 1998, I had lost about 157 votes. So I went back to those individuals. And that's when myself and Wayne Parent took over Pembroke West Central. You just don't work that hard. And you just don't have your constituents. One of the saddest part was, and maybe I could do it over this, I was never able to thank those people that put me in the House of Assembly in 1998. And I always wanted to stand on my feet, retire, and say thank you very much. My personal feeling is it's not a nice thing to do. When the people here in Jamaica found out that I had lost my seat through a colleague within the party, they said, no, man, we don't do things like that down here. We're supposed to work together. But hey, maybe it was through the grace of God that happened, because now I'm able to move on. I would have never been able to write the 7 books that I've written if I was still in politics. So you walk away, not with bitterness, but with sadness. It was painful, adjusting, and I wouldn't want anything like that to happen to him or anybody else who is in the political arena. I talked to the late Stanley Lowe, And he was very, very upset during that time. As you know, when the election came, 2012, they lost it. So there we go.
Indeed, I'm glad you said that, because I was going to say the election that David Burt actually stood in for you was the election that they lost. You have a lot of people. Hi, Nana Butterfield, Mama Butterfield. So people are in the house. This comment right here, Sonia Gibbs. Thank you for all you do and have done for me and my family. I am forever indebted to you. One of your granddaughters saying, "I made it, Nana." And we have Mary Lee Watson. Love you, Sister Butterfield. I want to go back to something you said, because I don't want to stick on politics, because you've just done so much more than politics. But one last question about politics. Has David Burt reached out to you since then? Have you all had a conversation about what happened and been able to heal and move on?
No, the only thing I did was went to church, got on my knees at the altar, and forgave him. Because without forgiveness, you cannot move on. So I would say no, nor has the party even contacted me. I didn't put 30 years in the Progressive Labor Party not to still give a contribution. And it's been 8 years. No one has reached out to me. Well, maybe some folks will say, well, why don't you reach out to them? No, I'm not the one that said, oh, we want her seat because she's too old. I didn't say that. That was said by party members. Let's go after them. People don't know what was said back then. So I've already forgiven, but my time, I have written ministers, even as maybe 2 weeks ago, no one replies. And it's my suffering because I was with the Progressive Labor Party. I have to stand, I still bleed green, and I have to stand on that, because if it wasn't for the Progressive Labor Party, I wouldn't be who I am today.
Indeed. This is very unfortunate and sad to hear, because it's not often that people give so much to their country through a political party, and this is not the treatment anyone deserves. But moving on from politics, since politics, you've been pretty busy, even receiving an honorary doctorate recently in community development through alternative learning. Speak to us about some of the things that you've been up to since your political career ended.
Yes, I'm now enrolled in the University of West Indies here at the Ojulius branch. So I'm doing some work on youth development, looking to get a degree. As because of COVID, we did have a group of young retirees. When I say young, they're so young around here. They're not 65. They're in the 50s and so on. We were meeting to see what we could do at the Marcus Garvey library to help young people to read. So a lot of things I'm not able to do, but I'm again still writing. I've just completed a book, Student Essays for the Soul, trying to find a publisher here before I give it to my publisher overseas, and also wanting to finish off the 37 years of care. I have completed that. I did apply to the cultural ministry to see if they could sponsor the book, because I believe the history of care needs to go in the archives. There's the thousands, over 5,000 or more, and almost 1,000 young people that got their high school diploma. So that was turned down, and that was a painful thing again, because here I was, the minister of culture, and I made sure that those who wrote books like David Chapman, Burchell, the late Ira Phillip, Ike to Cray Aswood, I gave so much funding, and I'm saying, hey, what's the matter? I think people get personal, and we need to put the personality aside. So here in Jamaica, I'm continuing to write, and my last book will be for my great-grandchildren. So I'm looking for an illustrator that would draw their pictures and invite them to come to computer lessons.
Indeed.
Now, Aunt Honey, you just talked about being enrolled in University of West Indies, but you're very accomplished. You even have an honorary doctorate. What was the driving force for you to decide to do a bachelor's when it seems like you've accomplished everything there is to accomplish at this point?
Well, call it just a part of satisfaction and some work to do while I'm here during the COVID-19. That's all. Nothing else. Well, I'll tell you what really happened. I put in for PLA. You know what that is? Prior Learning Assessment. And from Barbados, the University of the West Indies The professor called and said, "Oh my God, this is excessive experience." So they accepted me into the program with 50% of my credit. So it's not going to take me too long. It's just a part of some extra learning. You never stop learning, lifelong learning. And so that's why I'm doing that.
Now, Care Computers created an alternative educational path for, you just said, thousands of people in Bermuda to get their GEDs. What was behind this concept and what keeps it going?
Well, I was working with an international company, and just like now, people are losing their jobs. I lost my job back then. And I had a cousin who was in prison in the UK. He returned to Bermuda. And since I had lost my job, he needed to do some reading and some lessons. So I started to do that. And then I also started to do some accounting for some businesses in my home. And then I met Dr. Mary Wade Smith. And when I met her, we linked together through a modem. So we have been virtually teaching for years. This new thing coming up. Again, that point there is that since we were in there 37 years ago, surely we have programs that can help the educational system. So it was through my cousin who was in prison that I started to teach the GED, then branched out to hold the first graduation ever in 1985 at Casemates Prison. So there's always someone that encourages you. And when we started, there were people who were saying they didn't have a high school diploma. The program that Dr. Mary Wade Smith had the GED on. And so there it goes. And there it started from there.
Now, you've accomplished quite a lot. Oh, I'm sorry, Auntie. I thought you were finished. Go ahead. My apologies.
No, I appreciate you. Yeah, I appreciate you talking about alternative learning. That is one area that no one seems to want to address. There has to be an alternative. Traditional doesn't work for everyone, but it works. It works when you do alternative learning. It's not a program that is sponsored. Just recently, the Ministry of Education dropped our grant to $15,000, and I had tears in my eyes again because I want people to take me out of the picture as a former Progressive Labor Party minister and member of parliament and senator. Take me out of the picture and those young folks in the picture. Those young folks who haven't received their high school, who dropped out. For instance, I'm teaching someone that dropped out 28 years ago. Now that's something, isn't it? Why did they drop out? Because of funding. So what does $15,000 for me? It cannot get me a teacher. It cannot get me a social counselor because we do have issues. And I'm not a degree in that, but I could deal with it as I've dealt with it for 37 years. Alternative learning has to come on the front of things because it is needed. You can build, you can do whatever you want, right? New builders, new computers, but the alternative is still a very important area.
Now, you've twice said in the last couple of minutes about feeling punished because it's personal. How does that make you feel just as an individual? I know it's hard to say take the government out of it, but how does that make you feel when you've committed so much time to empowering and educating, and this is an extension of what you want to do, and you feel like you're being blocked to a certain extent? How do you navigate that?
Well, I guess you could, the answer's right here. Because why am I here 8 years going backwards and forwards to Jamaica or living in Jamaica? I didn't feel valued. That's how it makes you feel. It makes you feel like you're not valued. And it's important to feel valued from your government and give thanks. I can recall when Warren Jones came to my office, when Dame Jennifer Smith became the Minister of Education. He says, I got good news and bad news. So the good news was to send students to my school. And I said, hooray, I'll get some students. I only got 6. The bad news was that they took away my grant, which was only $65,000. My God, my heart was broken. I wasn't crying for me. I was crying for disappointing those young people. But we still took them, and I still taught them free because they're not the victims. And then in 2012, when the M.B.E came in, Ron Gibbons had made a statement, and it was in the newspaper. I cut it out. I wrote him, attached it, and I got back $35,000. So that's disappeared, and we only have 15. We cannot go on with care, and hopefully, maybe, I'm not saying hopefully, but we have to consider closing, especially during these times.
Wow.
It's disheartening to hear because
Yeah,
I mean,
wow.
I have my youngest son is dyslexic, and if I was in Bermuda, I know where he'd be if not with you, with Keisha, because mainstream just doesn't work. So I hope that someone hears this and there's a way to save care. But you've accomplished so much in your lifetime. What's left for you to do? What motivates you, and what is something that you'd like to do that you may not have not accomplished besides that degree?
But I'll tell you one thing that makes me tick is my faith in God. All things are possible, and I could do all things through Christ who strengthens me. But I have a purpose, and nothing. I've traveled extensively, so I just want to make sure that I have completed all that I can complete and leave a legacy behind for my grandchildren and my great-grandchildren.
Now, I was just about to ask about legacy. Beyond your family, how does Dr. the Honorable Neletha on Honey Butterfield want to be remembered by the people of Bermuda and beyond?
It's one of the things that if I can help somebody along the way, then my living has not been in vain. So as long as I'm helping somebody, changing lives. Just recently, I was doing a virtual course with a young lady who has 3 children, and the children were in the background crying and carrying on. So the legacy I would like to leave behind. That those who I helped, that they learn how to give back as well. So hoping with my giving, they will learn something from that. So my living has not been in vain.
We have a question from the audience. Sean Smith asks, how is life in Jamaica?
How is life? Life is fantastic when you can go out and pick a mango. I do have a mango. When you can go out and enjoy your bananas and your plantain. Very respectful. When I arrived in Jamaica, when I do arrive in Jamaica, there were orders given some years ago that when they still call me minister, when Minister Butterfield lands in Jamaica, she makes sure there's someone to meet her. So every time I come, I'm met at the airport, right outside where the plane docks. I'm escorted. When I came through COVID-19, the young lady says, we have the Honorable Minister from Bermuda. And I'm saying, oh my goodness, I'm not a minister anymore. But they still respect you for that. Do you know the JDF soldiers were there and they saluted? And I'm saying, wow, look at the respect and honor that they give you. So I was escorted to the nurse, and of course the JDF soldiers right there pulls my chair on, feeling like $1 million. And he escorted me all the way to my car. When I come back to Bermuda, it said, do you have anything to declare? I said no. So you see the difference?
Yeah.
You are honored in your own country, and it's very biblical.
I'm noticing something here, and it's a collective that Bermudians, even if you look at young Bermudians on Twitter these days, and it's not lost on us that more experienced and older Bermudians are examples. We're the first examples of this, but it almost seems like the collective believes that we're treated better overseas than within our own country. That's what I'm getting. It's not just young Bermudians, because right now you look at young Bermudians discussing not having the opportunity to get jobs in Bermuda. Last week we had another non-Bermudian being hired to replace a non-Bermudian in the Bermuda Tourism Authority. And what was said is that, maybe Bermudians didn't apply, but if Bermudians traditionally are not given these opportunities, then they're not going to apply. But I look at your situation and I'm like, as Carla went over your accomplishments and stuff, even what you've done for the country does not even give you a little like leeway to say, no, let's treat her with some respect, a bit more respect, or show her a bit more love. It's very disheartening. And, obviously I want people to take away from this conversation more about what you've done and what we can do as a community. And I did see a question about how we can donate to CARE, but want to take about what we can do to keep it going. Amanda Kelly asks, how does one donate to the cause?
Yes. First, let me also thank all of those international companies and the Bank of Bermuda Foundation. That's what's kept us going as well. We do have some very good individual, what we call international companies that do help with CARE. You could donate to CARE, go on our website, www.care.bm, and you will see the account number there. You can also sponsor a student for a term as well. We've been saying this and asking for 37 years. Unless the people of Bermuda can decide that I'm going to help someone, I'm going to assist them in coming to CARE. Right now, CARE is kind of officially closed in a sense, but there's some tutoring going on because we don't want too many of the students lose hope because they want their GED. Fortunately, several of them that parents didn't have funds for them to come back. And of course, I'm not. My son is there, Mr. Butterfield and Mr. Neletha. And of course, I call and say, could you let them come free? And they're like, come on, you're still doing this. So they are there free. And donations will be helpful.
All righty. We'll be sure to get information from you to share. We are out of time, but I just want to share something with you from Ashfield's event. One of your former colleagues, I believe my friend and colleague Neletha, holds the record for holding the most government ministries in Bermuda, perhaps in the Caribbean. Good morning, Neletha. And that's something that I remember during your time. You actually have experiencing a lot of ministries, and it's not to be overlooked because, one would think that you would be, no shade, but the way that consultancies are thrown around with governments, one would think that you would be hit up as a consultant to one or two things, but that is quite an accomplishment. Yes. It really is. I just want to thank you, honestly. Thank you for doing this.
Maybe Jamal, M.B.E gets in the way.
Well,
yes.
Yeah, I mean, something's not right. Something's not right. And at the end of the day, this conversation is not going to end here because what I don't want us to be doing is treating Bermudians who have done so much for our community the way that the likes of yourself have been treated. So I'm grateful and I'm thankful that you accepted the invitation to have this conversation with us. And we're going to be having you back because we want to get more into your books. It's important for Bermudians of all ages.
Because I wanted to encourage. Yeah, real quick, I want to encourage those to read my book during. I'm not celebrates Black History Month because Black history is with me all the time, even in my attire. But the 17 Trailblazers is a good book to read about 17 Black women that made a contribution to Bermuda. Most of them have never been highlighted except for Dame Lewis, Ron Evans, and others. But it's important to read their stories because their stories are similar to ours, working in the prison and doing all kinds of things. So it's a great book to give to the young people. Their pictures are there and how they struggled and how they became trailblazers.
Definitely. We're going to get that information and definitely share it. These books are necessary. Real quick question before we let you go. Shells Wolf says, is the book available on Amazon?
Yes, all books are available on Amazon.
All right. The Honorable Dr. Neletha Butterfield, thank you so much for having this conversation. And like I said, like you, I don't do Black History Month. We are Black History every day of the year. So thank you for taking the time, and we look forward to having you back to discuss your books even more. All right. Talk soon, Aunt Honey.
Thank you, Aunt Honey.
All righty. We're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to be back with the Daily Play, a real recap today's episode as well. And Carla's going to give us some inspiration. Stick with us. Do not go anywhere because I have a recap on that conversation with Dr. the Honorable Neletha Butterfield.
Bermuda, do you know the difference between internet and Wi-Fi? Don't worry, neither did I. Let me break it down to you. Internet is delivered to your modem, which then has to push the Wi-Fi signal into the rest of your home. Do you find that the further you're away from your modem, the weaker your Wi-Fi signal gets? That's because Bermuda's homes are built hurricane tough. It's really difficult for that Wi-Fi signal to reach every room. But you're in luck. Our One Home Wi-Fi solution guarantees Wi-Fi coverage in and around your home with the help of our Eero devices. Plug in the Eero around your home and it will create a mesh Wi-Fi network in every room. Check us out at One today to sign up and make sure you can stream, work, and play from every corner of your home.
All right, welcome back to the Daily Hour. Caller Zoom, myself, Jamal Hartman. Thanks again to One Communications, Medical House Lindos, Channel 82, Bermuda Economic Development Corporation, everyone that continues to support what we're doing, People's Pharmacy, Pizza House, Elianas. Caller, what did you make of today's conversation? And also, audience, what did you make of today's conversation? Go ahead, Caller.
A couple of things. One is that we have so many national treasures who do not feel valued in our own country. So I would say that to listen to her, how she was respected by the Jamaican regiment and stuff, the police, it actually was hurtful to me, you know. But also, let's try to work as a community to keep the legacy of CARE alive. That organization has done so much for so many people, including yourself. You know, my mom taught there, so I was there as well, and especially Black people. So
I'm going to go through some comments. Tamara Butterfield, Tamara Richardson says Miss Butterfield's treatment by the PLP should give everyone cause for concern, because if that's how they treat their stalwarts, wow. Nevertheless, it's clear in both parties that wisdom and experience are undervalued at our peril. D. Renee Dill says, great example that learning does not have to stop. This is true. This is very true. Kimberly Jackson says, CARE has always supported many youth to achieve their high school diploma, diverting them from a life of crime. Let's have a drive to raise funds for this well-needed alternative school. Nikki Michelle, Carla.
exactly. And she doesn't point to only one member shunning her. The whole party should be ashamed.
Indeed. Tamara Richardson says, oh, so we have 800,000 and much larger sums to basically gamble on smooth talking business people, but we undervalue our students time and time again. Noted. Dijon Simmons says, that said, I went through her program because I couldn't focus in the traditional classroom post-accident. I got my papers because of her work for the community. So, Sean Smith, this is another one. And they wonder why Bermudians are living overseas. So I will say this about this today's episode as we wrap it up. James Burt says, thanks for the conversation as always, TDH. I always appreciate understanding my community more, which I wouldn't normally have with this connection with. And Charles H. Jaffa says, today's conversation was sad to hear. I hope, pray that my island home does better in the future. Elizabeth says, if Neletha Butterfield doesn't feel valued in her own country after all she has done, that's enough to tell you something is wrong. What I will say to this is it was very disappointing. I did not know a lot of the stuff that she shared today. I had heard stories and so on. So the questions I was asking were literally genuine to get answers that people wanted. And it was extremely disappointing. And when I say, I speak about people in politics, there are people who do community stuff and sign up for different organizations to build their political resume. There is no political resume in this lady. This is a woman of honor that truly cares, pun not intended. Why do we do this? As a community, we've got to do better, and we can do better, but it's on all of us to do our part. Caller, do you have it? Oh, daily play time. Let's go to the daily play. Real quick daily play. Help Carla out. The song is, quote, looking out across the nighttime, the city winks a sleepless eye, end quote.
Lionel Richie.
Mm-mm.
Looking out across the
I'm gonna give you the
rhythm.
looking out.
Oh, across the nighttime. Michael Jackson.
She got it, folks.
Why? Human nature.
She got it. All right, give us some inspiration.
Tell them that it's human nature. A strong woman stands up for herself. A stronger woman stands up for everybody else. Author unknown.
That describes today's guest in a nutshell. Carla, any final words before we head out?
We just really need to appreciate our national treasures. It happens way too often that they don't get the respect they deserve. And happy birthday, Keeks.
I'm gonna read this before we head out. No disrespect, Miriam Simmons says, but we have a statue for someone that waved every day. Something is definitely wrong here. On that note, thanks again to our partners, Medical House, One Communications, and Lindos, for ensuring that we're able to do this with you on a daily basis. As always, we appreciate you, we love you, and we thank you for making us part of your daily routine. If all goes well, we'll be back to do this again with you tomorrow. She's Carla Zool. I'm Jamel Hartman. My friends, make it a great day. Peace.